What do you say, guys? Welcome to Elephant in the Room. We're going to talk a lot about Alabama recruiting, including the Tide trying to flip a 5-star Ohio State commitment that's from the Birmingham area. Yeah, spending a lot of time in Tuscaloosa. We'll talk about the great run that Kalen DeBoer has had recruiting and some of the commitments that he's gotten, including an offensive lineman nicknamed Big Mike. If you were an offensive lineman, why wouldn't you want your nickname to be Big Mike? But Alabama nailing down 2 premier offensive line commitments in the last week and more. All that right here on Elephant in the Room, part of Roll Tide Pods. He's Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us and talking Alabama. But, man, I mean, you right off the bat, Jake, and I see you're in your office looking good. Got your hat on. Next round hat. They call that one, if you guys want to go into the next round team store, that hat is called the Coker.
That would be great. That would be great. I wouldn't put it past Lance to get that done too.
Oh man, I love that hat. So, but yeah, I mean, look, when they were calling him Husky. What was the guy's name? Harvin. What was not Harvin, but Harbin. Yeah, the old coach of Auburn. And of course they thought that he would just kind of be another guy from the West Coast that wasn't able to recruit. Talking about Kalen DeBoer. Parson. I'm sorry, man, I forget that guy's name. He wasn't here long enough.
That's when you know you had a bad tenure at all.
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah. It was a bad tenure for him. I mean, they couldn't get him out of town fast enough. But this guy, Kalen DeBoer, you can't compare it. I mean, he's come in, he's worked so hard. I think he's done more local media than Nick Saban did in his entire career at Alabama. And he hasn't even coached a game yet. It's like there's the guy's energized. And then you talk about these recruits. And I want to start with this guy right here, Na'eem Offord, who is a 5-star committed to Ohio State. He's been to Alabama. He was, as of yesterday, 4 out of 8 days to Tuscaloosa. And you got Ryan Williams, the guy they call Hollywood, kind of telling him to flip.
I tell you, I mean, how the tables have turned. I think, the shock of Coach Saban leaving really made everybody feel like Alabama was going to be, in the midst of a rebuilding season, rebuilding era. Man, I tell you, guys leaving. I think recruits were up in the air. They've been recruited by Coach Saban for a while. They don't know who's replacing him, and it scared everybody. And now, I mean, I think the perception is reality that these guys are coming in with a mission to have no drop off and make it, seem like nothing has changed around there with the work they're putting in on the recruiting trail. I think the momentum's shifted. I'm really looking forward to seeing, what we look like next fall. It's going to be an exciting time. And you can see that with this momentum shift in recruiting. It's crazy to me. The guy, he's pretty laid back, but the amount of energy he has is incredible. And I think it rubs off on all these recruits. They see how hard this guy's working, and I really think it's inspired a lot of recruits to change direction in terms of looking elsewhere. And a guy from Birmingham, a 5-star guy, I feel like Alabama guys, if you've got an Alabama offer, you got to entertain that. And being there 4 out of the last 8 days, I'm sorry, you're not just doing that to have a good time. There's something serious going on there.
Yeah, and what's really helping, I think, anytime you're dealing with recruiting, is you want to have people that are committed to the program, out there recruiting for the program. And Ryan Williams, who is the highest rated 5-star, I think, of any of the 5-stars in our state, maybe, one of the most coveted players in the country, but also great personality, is out there working hard to try to get better players for the program as well. And right now, On3 has Bama ranked as the 6th top recruiting class, and they're not far behind really anyone. Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, USC, Clemson, and Alabama. And we still have a long way to go before signing. But you've flipped that one player, and all of a sudden Alabama's right up there, and Ohio State's coming back down, and Alabama's going back up if that happens. But more importantly, it's being able to keep the elite players in your state. This is a 5-star cornerback, a team that needs corners. And then the other thing, if you're Alabama, is after Ohio State came in and bought your best player away last year, in Caleb Downs, you want to go out there and make sure that you really need to put a crosshair on them.
Oh yeah,
and go hard after them.
Yeah. You want to, try to poach as many Ohio State recruits as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Make them feel it. I tell you what, to me, it is about retaliation. You come in and you buy a player that was beloved by the Alabama fan base. I would love to see us pull as many Ohio State recruits as possible. And, again, to your point, the local 5-star guys are to me are the most important. You got to get the guys within the state. Those are landmark recruits. Those are guys that really build the foundation of your program, and you got to have those guys. I always remember Lance Thompson when he went to, I think it was Tennessee. He said he said, "How are you going to recruit your in-state guys?" And he said, "Well, we need to build a wall around Tennessee so Coach Saban can't get in." That wall was never built. So yeah, those in-state guys, you got to have them. Got to have them.
Yeah, I used to wonder what Nick Saban's pitch was to get recruits, but now he works for ESPN, and you got Kalen DeBoer, and I look at him, and I just got the feeling that I know what his pitch is. And I think that it's having, working hard, being positive, having a fun environment to play football in, wanting to win, expecting to be national champions, which he's talked a lot about that. Nick Saban really didn't talk about championships. He always talked about the process. But I think that Kalen DeBoer has talked about it a lot because he doesn't want the standard and the expectations to slide.
Yeah.
And I think you got to talk about it if you're going to win.
Well, yeah, you have to emphasize that. Look, his approach is obviously different than Coach Saban's. And again, I think as we've talked about on this show before, Coach Saban was allowed to stick with his old school mentality because of the respect that everybody had for him not only in the college football world, but just as a leader. I think if you drop Coach Saban into any leadership role in any industry, he's going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
But as new coaches emerge that don't quite have the pedigree that he has, there's a different approach with kids nowadays. That's just a fact. There's too many things. Kids also have a lot more leverage these days. So you have to, you can't be as hard lined as you used to be. Coach Saban, when he came in and recruited me, there wasn't a whole lot of sugarcoating. There wasn't a whole lot of sales going on there. This is what it is. Would love to have you. Love to have you join our program, and I think we'd have a lot of success with you. And it was just open and honest conversation. He was very professional. My mom loved him. My dad really liked him. He what you saw on TV and that professional approach to everything. Very high character. That was the notion that you got in person with him in a recruiting setting. So I loved it, and I was going to Alabama no matter what, pretty much. But it was pretty awesome that Coach Saban was there, and I was able to be a part of that.
Yeah, so a great time at Alabama back then. And now, it's obviously it's a new era, but I don't feel like a lot has changed, which is the good thing. And I mean, talking about the recruiting class, Phoenix City's Mal Waltrip committed to Alabama earlier this week, 4-star, according to Rivals. The rest of them have him as a 3-star, but it doesn't matter. He's an interior lineman and a guy that's 6'5", 325. And then he joins Big Mike. I was talking about Michael Carroll, who I'm really excited about as well. Carroll's dad played at Penn State. Waltrip's dad played at Alabama, so you got one legacy and then one guy that was being heavily recruited by Penn State. And Carroll's 6'6", 310 from Pennsylvania, Dolesville, PA, a 4-star consensus 4-star, and they both pick Alabama. Coach Cap doing a nice job of connecting with, some of these recruits, and these guys are buying in. And as every weekend, you're having all these official visits, and Alabama's doing a great job of connecting with everyone during the official visits.
Yeah, man, I love those legacy guys, especially the ones that are, 3 to 4-star guys, got a big chip on their shoulder. The hype's not a ton of hype, and they feel like they've got a legacy to uphold. I feel like you got guys that are playing for a lot more than just themselves. So, I mean, really, really good guys, good commits. Feel like guys that, that are foundational recruits. So, and that's, you need a lot of high character guys so that, they can lead their team from within, and you don't have to rely solely on the coaches to motivate kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is to have a team that really self-manages themselves through leadership within the team. And again, not having to rely on a coach to, chew their ass out and get them going every day.
Yeah. Right.
I think those are great stepping stones towards that kind of culture.
Well, I mean, it's not like you look at DeBoer's track record and there's even a glitch that tells you that he's not going to have success. I mean, he's had success every step of the way. He's going to have the most talent he's ever worked with, but we haven't seen him coach a game yet. But everything so far leads us to believe that this program is growing and hasn't missed a beat. Like you said, there was just that little stint when Nick Saban left and no one knew what was going on. And since then, it's just every day is getting better.
Well, the one of the best things to me about the whole thing is that, Coach DeBoer is not a coach who's some crazy, marketing headline grabbing guy who's making noise through other avenues outside of just showing up, recruiting, working hard, getting everything done, and doing it the right way. I mean, you're not seeing him, make crazy comments on Twitter or jump out and make disparaging comments about other programs or anything else. He seems to be a guy that's got his, he's got his priorities straight, and he's just doing his job, and he's marketing that way. And people are really, really starting to understand and realize just how effective he is. And so I don't know. It's hard. I think you'd be hard pressed to find an Alabama fan right now that says they feel like we're going in the wrong direction.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Guys, let me tell you this, that our show is brought to you in part by the gang at MyBookie. We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into truly realistic casino experience, including the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action is in your hands, and you don't even have to be wearing pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using the promo code NEXTROUND, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win with MyBookie. You love that. That they wrote that
I
for
just
you.
I'm wondering, is that an original line? Is that something you threw in there?
No, it's Ryan Brown.
That's
Ryan
just
Brown sent that.
So Ryan Brown's the one who likes to just toss bets out there naked on the couch, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Man, it's an exciting time to be an Alabama fan, which I guess we've been saying that for a long time. What are your thoughts on this? AHSAA is moving the Super 7 from Tuscaloosa and Auburn. It was going back and forth, the high school football championships. And now they're going to move it, I guess, because of the college football playoff. And I guess maybe they have to in case the team gets in.
Yeah, because I think it's usually the first weekend of December is when the Super 7 takes place.
Yeah, so
they could just play it at Auburn every year, I
I guess they have to, right? I mean,
the poor kids would have to experience that, but not a high likelihood of too many home playoff games for Auburn.
Oh yeah.
What if it turned out that Alabama played Auburn in a playoff game in Tuscaloosa? Auburn made it to the playoff and played Alabama in Tuscaloosa in a playoff game.
Yeah, would you like another Iron Bowl?
Yeah, how crazy would that be? I mean, it's a real possibility now.
I mean, it could happen.
It'd be wild. 2 Iron Bowls in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah, it changes everything, like this whole new playoff thing. I don't know. I guess I got to embrace the future, Well,
man, with the opt-outs, you got to do it. I mean, you can't have kids opting out of these bowl games, diminishing their value, some of those games, you look at the Orange Bowl last year, Florida State's, they got opt-outs all over the field. It just, it diminishes the viewership. I mean, I don't want to watch. Had everybody on Georgia and Florida State's team played last year, I'd have been glued to the TV. But it's hard to watch when you know that the teams aren't valuing the game that they're playing in. So
yeah,
I think I was, if you're talking about getting the best teams in there, I still think, that 4 teams is plenty. But when you look at, getting more involvement and more intense play on the field, I think you got to do it.
Yeah, right. Well, the fact that no one wants to play in any of these bowl games is, like you said, like it's embarrassing watching some of the games, like Florida State last year playing in one of the biggest bowl games, and more than half of their team opted out.
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't even happen.
I think teams. There's going to be a lot of blowouts in the playoff. I mean, I think teams that are 6 through 12. I mean, the odds of them winning a national championship are almost zero, in my opinion. Just mainly because I feel like there's always been one to 3 teams that have had an opportunity, a true, real chance to win a national championship based on their talent. I mean, this year, honestly, I don't think Florida State. I think, do they deserve a chance? Yeah, I do.
Right.
Do they, based on the rules, should they be there? No, I don't. I think Georgia should have been in there. This is the only year where possibly 5 teams should have been in there, and Georgia was the one that probably could have made it.
Well, Florida State.
Well, 6. Yeah, but they had no chance of winning a national championship. I mean, they didn't. Not without their starting quarterback.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, and Texas, honestly, to me, was probably the worst team in there.
Right.
But, they beat Alabama. So what are you going to do? But Alabama wasn't the same team they were week 12 as they were week, what was it, 2?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm guessing that the high school football Super 7 goes to Birmingham, right? I would think that, right?
Back to Legion Field, I guess.
Well, no, the UAB
Oh, yeah. What is it? It's
Progressive Life.
yeah.
Yeah. That's where I'm guessing that thing goes.
Is Legion Field still under operation? Is it still operating? That's where it used to be.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that part of the place got condemned, right? And then have like the upper deck or so. I don't know. I think that it's still there, but after being at Alabama and Auburn for games, I just can't imagine you would go to Legion Field. Legion Field, let me tell you about Legion Field. Birmingham made a huge mistake not building when they used to have the SEC championship game and the Iron Bowl every year, not building a $multi-million, which would probably be $1 billion project now, but something like the Georgia Dome. They could have had all these events, just because it's so centrally located, and they just let Legion Field get worse and worse and worse, and I guess now that Progressive Life Stadium's there, it's just small. I mean, you couldn't have like Alabama or Auburn probably wouldn't play there, but
Yeah.
That's just years behind, it's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, it's Legion Field has been around for a long time, hasn't it? I mean, they played the Iron Bowl since when?
Let me look it up. I don't know. Long time.
I mean, that was a cool place for high school kids to play because of the history on that field.
Did you play there?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No.
Well, I didn't play there either. I didn't play football, but I played at Rickwood Field, which is right down the street from it.
What field is that? I've never heard of that field.
Rickwood Field is where they're having the Major League Baseball game with it's the stadium that's older than Fenway and Wrigley, and it's where the old Black Barons played. Willie Mays played there. So they're actually in June this month, at the end of this month, they're having the Cardinals and the Giants are coming there to honor Willie Mays, who's in his 90s. And it's a huge deal. It's the first time that a Major League Baseball regular season game's been played in the state of Alabama. And then baseball came in, and it's this really cool old stadium, but it's right down the street from Rickwood Field. I actually played there and broadcasted games there.
Huh. No, I've never been there.
It's great.
Did Alabama and Auburn play there? I mean, they used to play that game
baseball, there? I bet that Bama and Auburn probably played at Rickwood Field in the past, I would guess.
Because I know they played in Montgomery at the Biscuit Stadium, played at neutral site.
Oh, yeah. This place is like really, really old. 1927 to 2003, Alabama played games there.
Huh.
And let's see, does it say Iron Bowl? 1948 to 1988 Iron Bowl at Legion Field. So you don't want them to tear the joint down, but it would take, first off, with Progressive Life, what events are you going to have there?
I think they have some concerts there.
Do they? That's where I met George Strait at Legion Field. He was like this tall. He's like a little guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy, though.
I've told you that story about George Strait, didn't I? Where I was at one of my buddy's weddings, and he was there, and there was a lady that I met that was an Alabama fan, and so this wedding was in Texas, and I met this lady, and she was great, huge Alabama fan, and we took a picture and then separated at some point, and she comes up to me later on that night, and she's like, "Hey, you mind taking a picture?" And I was like, I was kind of like, well, we already got one, but yeah, I'll take another one. And she goes, no, I want you to take it of us. And so I take the picture on my phone and go about my business. Next morning, I get a text from her. She's like, hey, you mind sending me that picture? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll send it to you. And as I pull it up, it's her standing next to George Strait. And I was like,
you didn't even realize it.
You got to be kidding me.
You must have had a lot of beers at that wedding.
No, it was just one of those. I wasn't even paying attention. I was like, yeah, just let me take this picture and,
right.
Go finish this other beer.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get tickets to that game. It's like June 21st or something. Rickwood Field, Giants, and there's only like 10,000 seats in that stadium. Imagine watching a real big league game, 10,000 seats. They normally play in front of 40.
Be very intimate.
Yeah, right. Really fun.
Be like playing at Maryland, where you can hear individual voices from the stands.
Embarrassing.
Man, when I was,
you can hear those guys yell, "Move the chain! Move the chain! Move the chain! Move the chain!" Oh, you know they did that at Maryland.
We had to come out when I was at Florida State, and we had to warm up by the student section, and there's like 60 students in the crowd, and I'm out there throwing, and you can hear the individual heckling from the stands. And then at one point you're just like, all right, man, that you can hear every bit of it, and you kind of turn around and like, all right, man, that was pretty offensive.
Yeah. All right, final topic on today's show, and I want to remind you guys this too. Father's Day coming. Maybe you still have a chance though to take advantage of a great deal with our friends at Roback right now. Use the promo code ROOM20, 20% off your first order. I ran into a guy this weekend, and he had some Roback gear on. I gave him the promo code, and I said, do you like and he had a shirt that had it was like a baseball shirt, said little baseballs and hot dogs and maybe like fireworks on it or something. I said, hey, do you like Roback? And he said, oh yeah, my dad and I, both of us really love Roback. And he was like, I got a bunch of the shirts, and he was like, and I will take that code, wrote it down. But I got a feeling that maybe there's a little Roback action coming my way.
Yeah, I might be getting some Roback stuff just in time for July 4th.
Yeah.
Some of that patriotic stuff.
Yeah. Gotta love that. But anyway, guys, use that promo code. Final topic on today's show is one that I know you're going to be fired up about. ACC, SEC Challenge, Bama at North Carolina. So another matchup between the Tide and the Tar Heels.
Oh, yeah. I think we beat them the last two times we played.
You beat them in overtime one year. I think that none of them have been on campus, though, right? Wasn't the one in a tournament?
Yeah, it was.
Last year was last year was in a tournament too. They were like a preseason tournament, a regular season tournament, and then the NCAA tournament. But
the last time, not in the Sweet 16, but when we played them in that tournament, that was when I realized we had a chance at being good, and Nate Oates was turning the culture around, because prior to that, it was like, all right, we got to win in regulation, because if we go into overtime, we'll find a way to blow it. We're just not disciplined enough. We'll turn it over and fall apart in overtime. And when we hung in there, and I remember Javon Quinterly had a hell of a game, especially in overtime. And I was like, okay, we got an opportunity to be really good.
Right.
And, and it was not necessarily a talent thing, because I felt like we had talent prior to that. But it was just the grit and the mindset of winning that game in overtime, and the way we played, hitting big shots, not turning it over, getting it to the right guys. That was, to me, the turning point in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously beating them in the Sweet 16 was huge.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the biggest wins ever,
Yeah.
But they don't have it's not Roy Williams anymore. It's not Dean Smith, I mean, they're not saying that they're not coached well, but it's just that they don't have like the legendary coach. And maybe one day, what is it, Herbert Davis, he'll be that, but I don't know. I mean, and he's gotten to the championship game, right? Didn't they get to the championship game? But I don't feel like when I'm looking at him, it's like, you're beating Dean Smith. I went and watched North Carolina when Dean Smith was there, and he was like a legend. Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. So, I mean, I feel like the landscape of college basketball coaching wise is shifted enough where Alabama has one of the best coaches in the country, and they can compete with the North Carolinas. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't want Bama to play North Carolina again. I wanted Bama to play Duke. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Playing Duke. Now, Duke and Auburn are playing, but it would have been so cool to beat Duke.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. But, at the same time, Duke is not – they're definitely not what they used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think John Shire's – I think it's John Shire. I think he's a really good coach, but, I mean, filling Krzyzewski's shoes is damn near impossible. I mean, I feel like, and again, obviously I've never played against Duke, but I mean, just watching from TV, the team doesn't have that same type focus and fire that they had when they were playing under Krzyzewski.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to replace these guys. I mean, think about it right now, what Alabama was able to do replacing Nick Saban with a guy who just had gotten to the championship game. And I really believe that if Alabama wouldn't have hired Kalen DeBoer, Michigan would have, even with the assistant coach that they had in place. I think it's such an easy move. Somebody would have hired this guy. He says he probably wouldn't have left, but we just nailed it, and it's hard to replace these legends, man. I mean, it's not like you can just go out and find someone else to come in and take over. But this the basketball program to me, and I've said it before, it's Nate Oates. And Alabama has to do some things besides building a practice facility to up the game so that if he leaves, we're not stuck back in the old days anymore. I don't want to go back to a basketball program that you're wondering every year if you're going to even make the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, Greg Byrne has done a hell of a job finding coaches, figuring out the right fit. And I mean, when you think about it, there was a lot of doubt when Nate Oates got on campus. There was a lot of doubt. And look, I mean, Coach DeBoer hadn't coached a game yet. So, I mean, but by all indications right now, he was the perfect hire.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that were hesitant bringing a guy in from the West Coast who hadn't been in the SEC, but he's got an A+ in my book right now. I mean, he just seems to be doing everything the right way, and his style is fitting in just right with Alabama.
Yeah.
So it just speaks volumes of Greg Byrne. But if we lose Nate Oates, to me, that's just a support problem. I think Greg Byrne's done everything he can to keep him happy and keep him here. And Alabama's just our fans, our collectives we have to figure out a way to support Alabama basketball. And it's hard to do when you're looking at a limited amount of, money, honestly, between football and basketball.
Yeah.
But I think Nate Oates is going to make Alabama basketball a real source of revenue for the school. So, hopefully we, are able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, no, you're right. So what do you got going on this weekend, man? Big weekend lined up?
My sister's birthday Saturday, and then hopefully taking it easy on Sunday.
So what do you do for your sister's birthday?
Just headed to my dad's house. We'll cook out, watch some baseball, hang out. Well, when does the World Series start? Is it Does it start this weekend?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
College World Series. Who you got in the College World Series?
I'm all in on Kentucky. I'm pulling Kentucky.
Darren Hedrick is their broadcaster, good friend of mine. So
And I like that
him
Tennessee head coach's rant the other day.
What did he say? I like Tony. I know him.
Metallo. He was just talking about how a reporter asked if Tennessee loses in the regional, is basically their season a failure. And we've talked about that a bunch. I mean, he had a fiery reply that shot that down, which there's a lot of truth to it. He's talking about guys that a guy for Evansville that didn't make it to Omaha. He was talking about how he ran into the wall trying to catch a ball and jacked his shoulder up, got stitches, jacked his foot up, still played the next day. And he was like, what's important about that is when that guy goes back to Evansville, everybody's going to look at him like, yeah, that SOB played his ass off. Look at him. He did everything the right way. That's why it's important, no matter if you win or lose. It's about, your character, the way that you play and affect the people around you. And it's about a legacy that you leave. That was his message. Again, why is it important even if you still lose? Obviously, there's cons to that as well. At Alabama, if we lost the SEC championship, didn't make it to the playoff, that season's looked at as a failure, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But at the grand scheme of things, what's most important to me when I play is how my teammates look at me, if they respect the way I play and I'm out there playing for them. So, there's definitely importance on both sides, but it could go either way.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I like Tony too.
I understand his message, and it is very important and very true. But nobody wants to lose out and not go to Omaha.
No, I hope an SEC team wins, any of them. I like that. The fact that the field is SEC against the ACC. That's pretty funny to me.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of SEC in there. How?
It's split, right? It's like SEC and ACC. It's like 4-4, I think.
Georgia let us down.
They lost to NC State. So your sister's birthday's on the June 15th?
Yep. Yeah.
Good one. Mine's on the 14th, Flag Day.
I hear you. So you get a little birthday and Father's Day right there together.
All right there, wrapped up in one. So if I don't come back with rowback gear next time you see me, I'm gonna have to use that promo code.
That's right.
Room 20. Hey man, well have a great weekend. Happy birthday to your sister, and we'll catch up on Monday. All right.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys,
enjoy it. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll just get in the comments section. Tell us what you think, who you got winning the World Series. This is Elephant in the Room, part of Roll Tide Pods. Like and subscribe as we build momentum getting into the season. I want to thank you guys personally too. I've noticed that we've had a lot more views lately, and it's you guys that are watching the show, and that gives us motivation. Because we're like, hey, if you guys are going to watch it, we're going to keep on recording. That's we'll make it happen, even if it's not in person like we're doing right now. But anyway, Roll Tide, guys, and have a great weekend.